Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to review our 2019 McLaren 570s.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan and this is my garage. And this channel is all about the supercar ownership experience. And we have not had a McLaren 570s on this channel yet, but I have actually driven one of these before. So unfortunately that means my reactions won't be as authentic as they sometimes are when we do these reviews and I'm driving them for the first time. So of course, this car and all of these cars are for sale in our dealership, NG Supercars. So if you'd like to make an offer, send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com. We do appreciate when you guys can support us. Also by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. So thank you so much to all of you that are fans of this channel. We do appreciate you guys tremendously. So let's take a look at this beautiful car and talk about why it's about half the price of the big boy. We're going to be doing a McLaren versus McLaren video later, so stay tuned for that. But here we go. We have the 570, which is the cheap and entry-level McLaren, which is kind of bullshit because this thing is ridiculously fast and it's still got a lot of the badass things that you're going to get out of McLaren. So first of all, yes, it does have traditional McLaren styling. It does look a little bit like a spaceship, and we do have some really cool features and accents on the styling cues, like this pass-through right here and this huge air scoop for the cooling vents. One thing that's a little bit annoying is, yeah, you can't get access to the engine by popping up some sort of door or whatever, but you can actually see the engine through the grate. So it is right there, and it is basically the same engine that they throw in all the McLarens, just detuned a little bit. We're looking at, oh my God, only like 570-ish horsepower. Dear God, it's so slow. Yeah, right. This particular McLaren, our car, actually has a substantial flaw that we're going to take care of, so don't worry, which is that the paint is in just terrible condition. I know you're looking at it, you're like, that looks pretty good. Well, it doesn't have that much of swirl marks, but listen to that. Hear that? It's like got just trash in the paint that needs to be taken out versus like, listen to this. See, that's smooth, and this kind of like sounds like sandpaper. Another thing that we did is we replaced the front tires. So it had mismatched front tires, and whoever owned it replaced the passenger front tire with a 2016. So they went out and bought a used tire or had some tire that was in a warehouse or whatever. So that tire was garbage anyway. Also, when they did it, I don't know if they balanced it or if the balancing weights just fell off, but this car vibrated violently anywhere above 70 miles an hour. Dude, look at the steering wheel vibrating. Something's way out of balance. We fixed that for you already, so this car is now ready to rock and roll. So you can see we've actually got a pretty large diffuser on this thing, and the exhaust is split on the two sides, which is a little bit different from a lot of the other McLarens. A lot of them have the center exhaust, or of course the 600 LT, which is the lightweight, crazy version of this car, has the exhaust coming out like right up here, which is pretty awesome. We still have the doors of a billionaire. Yes, we do. Gotta have the billionaire doors. Oh, yes. So styling in the interior is very similar to all the other McLarens. They have kind of like the same steering wheel, similar looking console, similar looking computer display, but this one has nice leather and some other, it's even got like a little shelf right there. You could probably put like a little bag and, you know, something if you're, there you go, if you're trying to, you know, need some extra storage. One thing that's interesting is the cockpit in this is a little bit smaller than some of the others. Push this button. And look at, you get the teeniest, tiniest little tiny door. It's so cute. There's where you can check your oil and coolant. That's all you get. So cute. Okay, YouTube, we're in the 570. One thing that sucks about McLarens is this big hump right here. It's actually a bit of a pain in the ass to get in and out of. Once you get used to it, it's not a big deal. But first few times you get in and out of the car, it does take a little bit of like training. You gotta kind of slide your butt in, and you on this car it's at least carpeted, so it's not too terrible, but like on the 720 it's got carbon fiber, so you gotta be really careful. You don't want to scratch that. There we go. Okay. One thing is, I do not like the controls for the seat on these McLarens. It takes a bit of getting used to. I gotta figure out what button does what, and we're gonna put in active, so we have manual and track performance, regular sport handling. We don't need to kill ourselves completely. Oh, good. Here we go. Can adjust the steering wheel. I have 8% fuel left. The reverse camera is really good in this car. It's actually quite decent. And it has like where it adjusts the lines based on how far you're turning, so that's good. One thing that's already apparent immediately about this car compared to some of the other McLarens is it is very nimble feeling. It feels light. Like, this is a smaller car. This is their baby car, the baby Mac, as they say. I actually really appreciate the light and nimbleness of it. It feels like a go-kart. This is the go-kart McLaren. It is fantastically light. Now also, visibility in McLarens is amazing. Very, very, very good forward visibility, good side visibility. Of course, it's mid-engine, so there's some, lacking visibility behind you, but otherwise really good. Yeah, wow, it feels just so good. And we're only in sport. If I put it in track, it probably even tightens up even more. Yeah, it's even tighter. The problem with track is I think it changes the traction control, so we're gonna take that back off. It rides really good. This road is not the smoothest. It's not as bad as my old bumpy road, but it's not smooth, so if I drive over the white line, you can still, there's some feedback, but it feels comfortable. The car's not vibrating and chattering. That's another thing. These feel pretty decently solidly built. Like, the materials are nice, even though this is the cheap McLaren, which is all relative, right? I mean, it's still brand new, over $200,000, so it's not like it's that cheap. Oh, that transmission. McLaren's transmissions are just so sharp, super precise, super fast. Oh, here we go. Getting a little bit warm up now. Now, I like the sound of this car. You can hear a little bit more sound. It's got like a little bit more of that high-pitchedness. It's still not quite as exciting as the naturally aspirated cars, but it still sounds very good. We'll just kind of go slow for a second, give ourselves some space. And here we go. Whoa, spun the tires. Oh, and we're out of room. Okay, like, give me a break. This is the baby Mac, and it goes that fast and that hard. This is just silly. That's fantastic. I mean, tons of power, great responsiveness. The steering, again, super good steering, really nimble. Whoa, once those turbos spin up, it's so good. It's so good. You gotta weigh in the scheme of all the options available. So this car we have for sale in the 175 to 180 range right now. And of course it has 12,500 miles on it. And it's a 2019, so it's just barely out of warranty. The thing about McLaren is that drives me nuts is they got such a bad reputation because they had a couple of really vocal people that had some issues go wrong. Now, yeah, they can have stuff go wrong just like any other supercar. And the transmission was the big thing that everyone's so scared of the transmission. But honest to God, the transmission isn't that big of a problem, especially as they got later and later in the cars. It didn't seem to have the problems. Now, this one doesn't have any of the active aero. So that was one of the things that would go wrong, is the active aero system shared the hydraulic fluid with the clutch. And so when that system got wonked out, they would replace the transmission because the wing wasn't working or something. Crazy things like that would happen. So that doesn't really mean that the transmission itself grenaded or broke. At first, when the cars came out, replace the transmission, just solve the problem, don't worry about it. That being said, I don't think reliability is that big of a deal in these cars. There are independent people working on them now. You can get PPIs, you can get service work done. Hell, there's McMedics will actually come to your house and work on the car if you need it. Granted, it's, you gotta pay his travel expenses, but he's actually more affordable than the dealership. The worry of what happens if it breaks, I can't take it to the dealership or whatever, all those sorts of things, start to go away as you alleviate those problems. I think we need to go again. Oh my God. Another really cool thing is it's got little shift lights on the display, and it gives you a little bell when it's time to shift. It goes ding. I mean, that's a great sounding little car. Of course, you know, in McLaren's, one weird thing is you can actually push or pull on the flappy paddles to make it shift. One thing I'm noticing is the rear visibility. It's not the greatest. The rear light, the brake light, actually cuts into your visibility quite a decent amount. We gotta get through this water before we stab it, otherwise we're gonna be spinning everywhere. Here we go. Spun the tires anyway. Whoa! Whoa, yes! Woo! For being the entry-level McLaren, this thing is absurd. Now that's the craziest thing, is the McLaren bar is so high for performance. I mean, they produce outrageously fast cars. There's no denying that. Everything they make is just stupid fast. It's just absolutely bonkers. So then if you don't need the craziest of the crazy and you just want something that's really still stupid fast, this is a hell of a good car. This is amazing. I mean, I am comfortable. It feels good. The handling's great. The suspension's great. I mean, it's super nimble. It sounds good. Tons and tons of power. Just more power than you could possibly need. I love the Alcantara steering wheel. I love that it's got good materials, nice leather. Everything feels pretty decent in here. It is definitely not up to the caliber of the higher level McLarens. I mean, those are nicer, they use nicer materials, they feel a little bit sturdier, but this feels like just a fun go-kart. That's what this is. It's just a go-kart. And for the money, it's almost impossible to beat. This is so much car for the money. This is performance exceeding that of the 458, which can cost more than this. Granted, those are older and it's a Ferrari, so I like the styling of this. I mean, clearly it gets attention. The neighbors are all like, oh my God, and they don't know that this is the cheap McLaren. They have no idea. They just think it's amazing. They think it's a fun little car. And they think, oh, look at the cool doors of a billionaire. By the way, we can actually, 7th gear, 60 miles an hour, it's at like 1,200 RPMs. I got nothing bad to say. This is a fantastic little car. It's great. It's good value for the money. I don't think you guys will be disappointed with one of these in any way. Like if you were like debating between this and maybe a 650, no problem. It's just fantastic. One thing I've noticed is McLaren brakes feel heavy. It's interesting, is consistently across the line, the brakes just feel heavier. They don't feel like they're bad, it just feels heavy. I think maybe that's because when you're racing, you're kind of hard on the pedals, right? You're not trying to be like super touchy and sensitive, and I feel like the Ferraris are very soft on the pedals. Like the brake pedal is very sensitive and very soft. One thing McLaren does that's really smart is they tell you how much battery life you have once you park the car. It says 46 days parking. So basically, I don't need to worry about plugging in this car unless I'm going to let it sit for more than 46 days. That is a very smart feature. So if one of you is interested in buying this from us, send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com. We can get you hooked up, and pretty soon you can be driving this thing and having an absolute blast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, check out our website, normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy parts and services for your car, including aftermarket exhaust. You can make these things scream. We'll be doing a lot of car stuff, so you're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.